we're going to put on our teacher's caps for a minute and assign some midterm grades. First, I'm going to start with Mr. John Falkowski. John, how do you grade the New York Rangers as a whole right now?
Probably a D, maybe a D plus. You're like I said, there's a lot of inconsistency. There's a clear lack of depth and leadership. Kevin Rooney and Colin Blackwell have been good finds for them, and I never thought I would say this because when they found out that they signed Kevin Rooney, I was not happy with that because I didn't like him as a Devil, and a lot of Devils fans kind of laughed at us for signing him, but he's actually played better than Mr. Cardio, Brett Howden. I wish I could just take Mr. Perfect, a gif of Mr. Perfect and Bobby Heenan walking down the aisle and put Brett Howden's face on Mr. Perfect's and Bobby Heenan have his face replaced with David Quinn's and do the whole towel flip when Mr. Perfect does the towel flip and Heenan catches it. And yeah, because obviously the coach's pet gets to, not have any ramifications against him for bad play. But yeah, the coaching has not been good. The goaltending situation has been handled horribly. The efforts on a night-to-night basis have been meh at best, and that's putting it nicely. Mika Zibanejad has been a train wreck this season. I mean, although he's started to play a little better recently. Artemi Panarin is still well over a point per game. That's a good thing. Still scoring and close to where he was last year. Probably not as high as a pace, but he looks like he's maybe about a 100-point player over an 82-game season, close to it. And then Alexis Lafreniere has played better lately. But, now that he's finally got some consistent line mates, Filipino has looked good. Filipino is the reason why I don't think that Mika Zibanejad's problems are COVID-related. Because if Filipino can come back from COVID like this, and I know it affects everybody differently, why does Filipino come back and look like a house of fire, and then Mika Zibanejad has just been back for almost 2 months now, and his efforts have just been kind of meh on a night-to-night basis. So overall, I mean, trying to look at the positives, I mean, Keandre Miller's been great. Adam Fox is Adam Fox. Ryan Lindgren looks like he's taken another step. He looks like he's added a little bit of offense to his game. Not a ton.
Ryan Lindgren has more points than Mika Zibanejad.
Yeah, that's bad. It's good for Ryan Lindgren, but it's bad for Mika Zibanejad. That's terrible. Yeah. Overall, there's just not enough positives to really outweigh the cons. I'm just not happy with what's going on right now. Listen, I said they were going to miss the playoffs, but I thought that it would be close. I thought that the 4 teams that I had making it were going to be the Bruins, the Flyers, the Capitals, and the Islanders. And I thought that maybe Pittsburgh could take that last spot from the Islanders because of, it being a shortened season and it actually helping out Malkin and Crosby in a way. But I had Pittsburgh and the Rangers at 5 and 6. And then the other 2 obviously are just a dumpster fire, so we don't even really need to do. But this team has not been good enough. It's not been good enough, and they have to address bottom 6 depth. Defense needs to be asked about in the offseason. Hopefully Nils Lundkvist will be over next season, which all signs are pointing to yes. And if anybody wants another positive on the Rangers right now, it's Vitaly Kravtsov's Tractor Chelyabinsk team was eliminated today in the KHL playoffs. They were out in 5 games. So Vitaly Kravtsov should probably be over in the next couple of weeks or so. Otherwise...
Hopefully.
Don't
criticize Putin.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I would give them like a C+. I say that because they've had to endure injuries. I know Trouba's not playing the best, but they lost Trouba. Hedel was out for a while. Panarin's leave of absence. So there's a lot of things that went against them that they couldn't really control. I think the one thing they do need to get down, as Filk alluded to, and you have said with the coaching's his Quinn's decision to keep rotating the goalies, you're not going to get in any sort of rhythm that way. And Shesterkin is clearly your number one. So when he gets healthy, I think that he really needs to let him roll and see if he can get back some of the momentum that he had last season when he played so well. So I think he needs to handle that better. I think that, Zibanejad's play is kind of baffling. Like Filk said, I don't think it's COVID related. I just think for whatever reason I don't want to say he's not invested, but he just looks like he's a step or two behind this year. I don't know if it was his training habits because of COVID, but he just looks off, and I think that's attributed to their play. If he was playing at the level that he played the last couple of years, I think the Rangers would be a lot better of a team right now. So there have been a lot of negatives for them, but there also have been some, positives. I thought Fox has been amazing. Lindgren's played really well. So it's not, we're not talking about the Buffalo Sabres here. So, but I do think that they probably won't make the playoffs, and they just need to make some changes on their bottom six. Maybe get a new coach. I know that would bring a big smile to you guys' faces, but
yeah,
boy, man, Quinn is just the way he's handled Lafreniere at times and Kakko, and let's not even get into Elias Anderson, what happened with him. For a guy that was supposed to be a coach good with like grooming young players, some of the stuff he does is just head scratching to me. I don't understand it. Kravtsov's probably better off that he's been in Russia for this time being, because who knows, he'd probably play him with I don't know, he'd call up Dale Purinton and put him on the fourth line with him. He'd probably think that would be good. I don't know.
They'd re-sign Michael Haley. There's his line mate.
Yeah. So, listen, I know it's tough for you guys. For the longest time, the Rangers were kind of like the gold standard. They were always a good competitive team, but I don't think it's far off. But just like the Islanders made a coaching change, I think once the Rangers find that guy, whether it be Gallant or, I guess maybe Julien, I think that's when they could really take the next step.
I think Babcock's a dark horse.
Well, he's a dark horse because of all the other stuff that's going on with him and his reputation in Toronto. My grade is going to be a C. I can't help but look at this team right now and think, where would they be if Mika Zibanejad was half as good as he was last year? If he was still the guy that, never mind the 5-goal game, but because you take away the 5-goal game, he still had 37 and was it 56 games or 55 games? That's amazing. That's still amazing. And yes, you can't have a 19% shooting percentage. That's going to come down. It just has Tony 19.7. Jeez.
Yeah, basically 20%.
It's unsustainable, really.
Right. Of course, it's unsustainable, but even still, an 11% shooting percentage would be good. And this is a guy that takes 200 shots a season. Panarin being out really hurts. Ryan Strome has been okay, good, some people will say. I am not going to, because after all, as the gentleman that I have on the monitor over there on the white hat knows, Ryan Strome has moments where he looks good and then he's Ryan Strome again. Where would they be if they had their stars? And Adam Fox is playing well. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I wish I could find a woman that's going to love me half as much as Pierre Maguire loves Adam Fox. And yes, he is developing into a top 20 defenseman, and that's great. But he's not our power play quarterback. D'Angelo was exceptional at that. They went from the 7th best power play in the league to the 23rd. I haven't checked the rankings this week. I probably should have, but it's one of those things that when Nils Lundkvist comes over, he's going to be the #1 power play guy. And Chris Kreider, I love Chris Kreider. I am the arguably the president of the Chris Kreider fan club. He is carrying this team right now because, as John will tell you, Kreider the friendly ghost. But when he appears, he ults out. And sure enough, 2 hat tricks in a week. That's where all the Rangers scoring was. And then we got a goal from Jack Johnson the other night. I don't even know if that's good or bad. It's good that he scored. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy, but my first thought is, oh, thank you. Get off the ice. It's just like
at this point.
it's Please, just call up anybody else. We're not developing Jack Johnson. We know what the answer is on Jack Johnson. And he's not a veteran leadership, considering I don't see the run in this team, because you got to play the big boys. And it's nice to beat up on the Sabres and the Devils. But once you play Philadelphia, and I mean, they've been pretty good against the Capitals. That's what's more amazing.
Yeah, here. I don't understand that one.
Well, that goes into the argument of Team A, Team B, Team C. And if Team A beats Team B, therefore Team A is better than Team C. So the Rangers can beat up on the Capitals, but the Islanders got shelled by them in that second period.
Oh.
That was the night of Lafreniere's first goal. And that's the Capitals are the ones I would be concerned about for the Islanders.
That was where the Islanders, it looks like they kind of turned it around at that point. It's like, okay, where we're going to hit rock bottom, and then we're going to turn things around. And you mentioned Lafreniere before, too. I wanted to get this while I had it at the top of my head. I love it. Love it. The way that Quinn has handled the power play is part of the reason why this team has been as bad as they've been on the power play. Now, I'm not going to say that Adam Fox was as good as a power play quarterback as Tony DeAngelo, because he's clearly not. He doesn't have the shot to do it. And I think he's a very good skater. He can walk the line well. He gets his shot through. But Tony DeAngelo's shot was better than his. And as much as Adam Fox can do those other things, Tony just did them better. And that's why the unit was as good as it was last year. But here's another thing. 5 righties on one unit and 5 lefties on another. What kind of galaxy brain garbage is that? And then on top of that, he refuses to try to get his young first overall pick going by putting him on the power play when they need a left-handed shot along that right side board. And that's why Tampa runs so well. Stamkos with the off-wing right-handed shot on the left side. Kucherov with the off-handed left-handed shot on the right wing side. Dueling one-timers. Who would have thought if you shoot the puck and you have guys that are good shooters in those positions, you put the puck in the net?
Or how about this one, John? You have the number 1 overall pick. He refuses to play on the power play sometimes. And then you have the 2nd overall pick. He refuses to play on the power play sometimes. What are we doing? What are we doing? I keep saying this question too much.
That's why he's the right guy for the job. He's not. He simply is not the right guy. You want somebody that's going to come in and he's going to focus on developing talent. He's not focused on that. He's focused on winning games and keeping his job. And unfortunately, I get it. It's a results-based business, but your main focus should be the development of the young talent, and it's clearly not.
That will conclude our grades for the New York Rangers. So if you like it or don't, put it in the comments below. To turn over to our grades for the New York Islanders, this is what happens when we bring in an Islander guy. We will start with Mr. LaRocco. What is your grade for the New York Islanders so far?
I'm going to say a B+. I think what prevents them from going higher is just how they struggled there right off the bat. But they've refound their game. They're looking like the Islander team that won the Jennings Trophy with Leonard and Grice 2 years ago. They're getting offense throughout their lineup. They're just playing really well right now. Aside from that stretch where they played really poorly, they've one of the really good things about them, they're not afraid to play in 1-goal games. If they're in a 1-goal game, they're comfortable playing it and they can lock it down. So just in every area of their game lately, they've just looked very comfortable. Like they're not pressing too much. I think at the beginning of the year, they started to grip the sticks a little too tight. They were a little lax in their system that Trotz has them play. But since then, they've played. They looked like the team that was in the bubble last year, to be quite honest. The last, I would say, 2 weeks. And they're just. And one of the things that can't be stressed enough is the goaltending. Goaltending is like pitching in baseball. It's your backbone. And Varlamov has been really strong. And as long as he can continue playing the way he's playing with Sorokin sprinkled in, I think that gives him an advantage over a lot of teams. Because look at the Flyers right now. Carter Hart has been really bad, and Brian Elliott's their backup. So, you know, they have that going for them within their division, their goaltending. I think that's been really strong. And, you know, I think that if they just, we discussed in an earlier segment, if they can add that one more piece, you know, I think the sky's the limit. But overall, I would say, you know, solid B+. Again, the way they played in the beginning kind of worried me a little bit, but since then their game has been really, really, really good. It's hard to really critique some areas where they need to clean it up, because I know they've played Buffalo the last couple of games, but the game against Boston, that 2-1 game, you know, that was an awesome game. They shut the Bruins down, and they gave Boston a dose of their own medicine, because Boston likes to play the same way. So yeah, I would say a solid B+ for the Islanders so far this year.
I'm gonna have to agree with a B+. I would even push maybe an A- just because of the fact that, like Anthony said, they had that stretch where they were just kind of like, it was looking like, what's going on with this team? Is this really a Barry Trotz coach team? And then they kind of like turned it around, like I said, after that little mishap against Washington, where Washington absolutely exploded on them. But I would say that this Islander team is playing very well. They look like a well-oiled machine right now. They're playing the type of hockey that's going to win them games come playoff time. So there's a lot of teams that, you know, you can look at and say that, you know, they have more talent, but the Islanders are going to give a lot of teams problems because of their speed, because of their relentless forecheck, because of the fact that they're, like Anthony said, they're comfortable in those one-goal games. And a lot are comfortable in those situations. You know, when you come across a team like that can sit back and counterattack and wait for a mistake and then jump all over that mistake and cash in on those opportunities, that's where, you know, you're going to win games. Like I said, come playoff time. And that's a team that's going to be a pain in the neck to play against. Another thing that I would say that would prevent me from giving them an A+ would probably be their, like you said before, their special teams. The power play just, it needs improvement. It needs a real natural finisher on there. I know Oliver Wahlstrom's got a good shot. He's not that guy yet. If they don't find a way to improve the special teams, that might be their downfall come playoff time. So
that's what I'm going to add. We were talking about Pollock and no goals. You mentioned the pair of him and Pelech. I think Pollock has really bought into Trotz's system, and I think he's focused so much on the defensive side of the puck, the task he's given every night. Him and Pelech play against each team's top pair night in and night out. You know, he plays the PK as well as the power play. I just think he's laser focused defensively right now. Maybe he's afraid to take some chances, even though he has Pelech back there. But yeah, he should produce more. But I think he's really taking a lot of pride in the defensive side of his game.
Matt Barzal is the guy that I look at with that. Matt Barzal, and I know, Anthony, when we had the show, you and Arrow both got very mad at me because I said that Matt Barzal was not going to score nearly the amount of points that he did in his rookie year in those next couple of seasons. And I said that it was because, one, he was going to have to face all the top lines, all the top defenses on a nightly basis, and two, Barry Trotz was going to come in and implement his system and was going to take away offensively. Now it seems that Matt Barzal is starting to take that turn. He's turning that corner, that next step. And now it looks like he's finally understanding that, you know, although I have to play defense and I have to buy in, that doesn't mean that I still can't go out there and put up points. So, I mean, Barry Trotz is doing a wonderful job with them. He's probably either the best coach in the league for my money right now, although Joel Quenneville is starting to really make a comeback in Florida. So I would really watch out for him. But Barry Trotz has done a great job with a roster that, when you look at it, isn't all that impressive. So I'll give them a B. I'll give them a B+. I would push an A-, but I'm going to give them a B+, just like Anthony.
I am actually closer to you, John. I would actually say B+, and I'm always tempted to give the A-. The only reason why I'm even thinking B+ right now is because of Anthony. So thank you. Oh, by the way, go to hell, New York Islanders. But it's just you can't say enough of the way Barzal's playing. You also can't say enough about the way you got production out of Anders Lee, Jean-Gabriel Pajot, and Brock Nelson. They got their matchups. They're going to win the center battle pretty much almost every game. Even against a team like Pittsburgh, you might have better centers, like, say, for instance, Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, but then your bottom two centers still have to face Casey Cizikas and I forgot Pajot. Yes. Yep. Yes. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say this. Go to hell, Jean-Gabriel Pajot. I remember what you did to us when you were in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So, joking, of course. Don't actually go to hell. But it's the Islanders got up 2 goals. The game is over, and very few teams have come back on 2-goal deficits with them. The Capitals, we just covered that, and Pittsburgh. Other than that, they lock it down. And I'm surprised a team like Boston's having so much trouble, but maybe that's going to help Boston and address it. We'll find out. Maybe it'll help the Islanders about having so much success, but now you got to, like, figure out a way to sort of lock it down and be a division winner and end up going to the conference finals. Because when we did our predictions around the NHL, the gentleman that's in the bottom square both say Boston's still going to make it through. It's nuts to think that Pittsburgh, Philly, the Islanders, Boston, and Washington, one of them has missed in the playoffs. It was nuts even putting the Rangers in that category. And the Rangers are proving they're not going to be in one of the 5. Never mind the 6. So, well, they're going to be the 6. You know what I mean? I don't have exactly as much confidence in their goaltending as everyone else does. But you got the best goaltending coach, or one of the best goaltending coaches in the league, because I still think our guy, Benoit Allaire, is. But Mitch Korn ain't no slouch. So it's going to come down to one of them. And
I'm glad you brought up the center depth, because what Trotz is doing is, in the important defensive zone draws, he's taking Pajot and Cizikas and putting them on the ice together, because if one of them gets kicked out, you have another guy that's over 50% in the circle that could step in. And not only that, but Cizikas will play against the top line, and then Pajot comes out there and he plays against, the line as well. And so teams are having a hard time matching up against the Islanders, because Trotz has a lot of options. Even Brock Nelson he uses to play against some teams' top lines at times. So
wait a second. You mean to tell me face-offs matter?
Yeah.
Hey, Rangers, take notes. We don't have anybody that can win 50% or more at this point. Yay!
Yeah, that's perfectly teed up for Filk right there. Yeah, and you know what? And that's also a sign of good coaching, because AB used to do that with Brian Boyle and Dominic Moore, and that worked. Yep. That was a 4th line the Rangers had that played against top units that made them struggle. Who'd have thought that? All right, what do you think about our grades? Do you think we're either too light or too harsh? Are we grading on a curve? Well, right now, I know my curve is I wish my team was in the playoffs. But that's, and you got to be critical. Can't always be sunshine.
Did you like that video? Of course you did. So why not check out some more of our content? You can check the playlist right here or right here,